Okay, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back. So we had a night of boxing on DAZN, right? Jake Paul versus Mike Perry, Platinum Mike Perry. All right. Mike Perry undefeated in bare knuckle boxing, BKFC. Left the UFC, obviously went on a string of losses on the UFC. He's predominantly a striker, stand-up striker, right? He fares really well in bare knuckle. Some of you might have seen him at bare knuckle. Fights Jake Paul, obviously in boxing. Jake Paul stops Mike Perry in round 6, knockout. Knocked him down several times. Eventually, the fight got stopped. Mike Perry was busted up. He did land a few punches, Mike Perry, but his boxing style, not great at all. Not great at all. He was walking in square, wasn't using the jab. He was trying to throw the jab in a weird way. He was fighting like a BKFC fighter with gloves on. That's what it looked like to me. So Jake Paul takes another victory, and I've said this before. We've got to start giving Jake Paul his respect as a fighter, all right, as a boxer. Again, he won't beat none of the guys. I doubt he'll beat any of the guys at his own weight class, at cruiserweight. You know, Jay Opetaia, Chris Bennett-Smith, Richard Riakporhe. These are just a few guys I'll mention that are top guys at the moment. I don't think he'll beat any of those guys. But he will beat the MMA fighters, right? And Dana White looking pretty silly at the moment now. Dana White hates this. He does not like seeing his former stars getting pasted around by Jake Paul. He hates this, right? It's bad for the UFC brand as well. MMA Guru. Some of you might have heard of who this guy is, MMA Guru. He's built a massive platform over there on MMA. So I salute to him, give a shout out to him. He's built a big channel over there. But some of the things he said in his post-fight reaction, I totally disagree. He said, like, boxing's not a combat sport. What are you talking about? When you see two guys about to have it in the street, what's the first thing they do? Shoot for a double leg takedown on the concrete? Don't be stupid. You want to graze your knees up? Do you want to get elbowed in the fucking face? No. You stand up and you have it fisticuffs. You have it like that. Boxing, this MMA Guru tried to say that boxing's only 10% of fighting. I would say boxing is easily 50, 60, maybe even 70% throwing hands, yeah? Right? Maybe I need to get into another video, but MMA Guru, sorry, I don't agree with you, my friend. Boxing is a big part of MMA. How many fighters have gone out? Look at Alex Pereira. It's basically boxing what he does to knock people out, really. He's a kickboxer, but he knocks people out with a left hook all the time. This guy doesn't grapple. I mean, jiu-jitsu, I don't know how good his jiu-jitsu is really, but you don't really see him much on the ground. But he strikes. He's a striker. Predominantly strikes with the hands. So anyway, enough of that. Mike Perry receives his marching orders from Conor McGregor. Conman McGregor has bought into the franchise. I believe it's a franchise. I'm not sure. Is it a franchise? It might be a private limited company. I'm sorry if I haven't got this correct. But he's bought shares in BKFC. He owns a percentage of it. And he has now, apparently, allegedly, given Mike Perry his marching orders after losing to Jake Paul. Got rid of him. But one thing I'll say, Conor, why don't you... I know the UFC won't allow him because he's under contract. Why don't you get in there with Jake Paul? Jake Paul's called you enough names, said enough stuff about your missus, stuff like that. You get in there with him. But then again, you know what? I've got to say this as well. There was a massive weight difference in that fight. You look up Jake Paul. He came in at 215 pounds. Mike Perry didn't even make the 200-pound weight. So you've got to look at it like that. There's a massive weight difference. Again, I know Amanda Serrano fought on the undercard. She fought 2 weight classes above her usual weight, and she ended up stopping the girl in the first round. I'll be making a reaction video about that. But Mike Perry is not a seasoned boxer, so he cannot take advantage of it, right? And Jake Paul, you could say now he's been boxing for about 5 years now, so you can't dismiss him. In and out boxing every day. You know, the guy's loaded, so he can spend his whole time training, getting the best guys around him, getting the best supplements to put in his body and stuff like that, you know. So you got to look at it like this. He beat Mike Perry. He beat him fair and square. No one can take nothing away from him. Are we going to see Jake Paul fight a proper boxer? We will possibly in Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Again, he is a real fighter, but he hasn't fought for 2 years, and he wasn't the best fighter when he was fighting anyway. Anderson Silva beat him. And speaking of Anderson Silva, if I have to talk about any of Jake Paul's fights being fixed, I'll definitely say the Anderson Silva fight was fixed. I somehow think the Tyron Woodley fight was fixed as well. The second fight, I believe, was fixed. But those are the only 2 fights I'm going to say I reckon were a bit suspect when it comes to Jake Paul. Anderson Silva fight, definitely, 100%, I believe, was fixed. And also the second fight with what's his name? The second fight with Tyron Woodley. But anyway, look, enough said. Enough said. It is what it is. What can I say, man? Jake Paul beats Platinum Mike Perry. I don't know who Jake Paul's been fighting. Mike Tyson, they're saying in November. But say hello to my neighbour there. Mike Tyson in November. But I don't fancy it, man. Mike Tyson's too old. 60-year-old man shouldn't be getting in there with a young lad that's not even 30 years old. Come on, man. And he's on, you know, he's probably using some type of PEDs and stuff like that. And yeah. Anyway, enough said. Anyway, let's do us a favour. Smash the like button, hit that bell for notifications so we get all the new latest videos.